Hi, everyone. So thank you again for joining us. We are on episode 7. So thank you for being along for the ride. Today we're going to talk about suicide awareness and prevention. And the reason for that is September is Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month. So we're taking a little break from the usual kind of silly, more fun way that we do things. And we're going to get a little bit serious and talk to you a little bit about this. And just to recap, we've talked about, more recently, we talked about stress management. And this really ties into that, right? We have to make sure that we are acknowledging and managing the big stressful things in our lives. Otherwise, it can get out of control. And kind of one of the ways that we like to look at it is everybody feels sad, right? Sadness is a universal emotion. We all feel sadness. But what we're really taking some time to talk about and bring awareness to is that feeling of more than sad, right? It's that pit inside of you that just feels like this is too much. This feels like big, heavy sadness. And that's really what we're taking the time to talk about today.
So going along those lines of, a kind of deeper emptiness that isn't just the day-to-day sadness that all of us feel from some time, at some point or another, is we're going to get into more of what to do and how to recognize in yourself or in others what that deeper sadness, what to do about that deeper sadness. So really the reason for this is because, we can't know what's going on with every single student and every single family. And it's important to be able to recognize when something might be going astray with yourself or with one another, with each other, I mean. So this is for you to know, hey, I remember that presentation. I remember that maybe this is something more and I need to say something. So this is just trying to provide some guidelines for what to do if you think that this is something more than someone just having a hard couple of days. So warning signs and threats. So these are kind of the red flags that we want to go off in your mind if you see some of these things. A common misunderstanding about deep depression and even suicide is that someone who is considering ending their own life will never say something. That if they're talking about it, it means that they're not really serious. And that's really false, and it's important to know that because oftentimes when someone is talking about it, it means that they're really considering it. And so in that case, that's an opportunity for someone like us or another professional, another adult to respond and support that person so that suicide isn't how that unfolds. We want to avoid that as much as possible. So this is about saying if someone's talking about this and they're directly saying that this is something that they're considering, please say something. And we're going to get into more about how to do that. So a warning sign, what does it mean? So these can be thoughts. This can be someone saying something like, I just feel really empty. I'm feeling hopeless. I don't feel like I have a reason to live anymore. And these feel like really strong terms. And it can be hard for us to hear what it's like for someone to be in that state. But try to just stay in that with someone. And what I mean by that is it's easy to dismiss and say, they're not serious, that you just need to get over it. Because it's hard for us as the other person, as the friend or the sister or the brother or the parent to hear that. And it's important to be able to step out of that discomfort for a moment and say, hang on a second, this person is really in a state of distress. They're telling me this, I need to respond. So these are just some more warning signs. So severe social withdrawal from friends, family, or community. This is someone who doesn't enjoy the typical things that they did before and doesn't feel like they're really present with people that support them and love them. Talking or writing or thinking about death, a kind of preoccupation with death, or dramatic mood swings where someone, is just all over the place in their mood. And this isn't the mild, we have ups and downs over a day or two. This is someone where it's much more extreme than that. any increase in substance use, anyone who is saying that they're using substances because they think maybe they'll die as a result of it, that's something that we want to take really seriously. Any direct or indirect comment about ending their own lives or killing themselves or having access to some kind of means to hurt themselves is something that we want to take seriously. And again, I want to say, the bottom line here is that this is someone who feels that their only way out is to end their own life. And I realize that this is difficult to hear and difficult to say, and this isn't meant to scare you, and it's just something that we want to make sure that you are aware of so that we can prevent things from unraveling in a way that's tragic. So, no one of these signs, if it were happening in an isolated incident, are you going to think that this person is at risk for suicide? It's a lot of combinations, and it's on us as Ms. Y and I as professionals to be able to assess that. But where you come in is to just say, you know what, I'm worried about this person. So it's just having your eyes open to some of these issues. You're not responsible for knowing all of this. It's just having your eyes open to these issues so that you know when to come to one of us or another trusted adult. So just to be aware that sometimes these things can be posted on social media. We would never know it. A teacher might not know it. So just important to keep your eyes open for that too. A social media text message, a phone call, something kind of off the cuff that someone says. These all kind of count as information that might be indicative of a student's state of distress or someone else's state of distress. So just to be aware that sometimes stuff is posted on social media and we'll never know about it unless you tell us.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about acting immediately and taking things seriously. So what do we mean by that? If it's midnight and you're scrolling through Instagram and you see somebody saying something that made you say, oh, this person is not safe, and you're not quite sure who to contact, we'll get more into that later about the after hours stuff, but you can't just say I'll sleep on it, right? Because you really never know what's going to happen. So we all kind of have that feeling inside of us, and there's probably a name for it, but I'm blanking on it now. But that feeling inside of you that's just kind of like this lump that says something's just not right. And we're really asking you to be in tune with that here. And, let's say a friend says something to you during the school day, and so you reach out to the teacher or a counselor. The worst case scenario is that an adult is going to reach out and be really nice to them, right? And the best case scenario is that you may have helped prevent something that could have been pretty awful. And I know it's easy to think, oh, they're going to think I'm a traitor, or they only told me this thing, so if somebody reaches out, they'll know it was me. And really, what we're asking you to do is to stand your ground and say, I did it to keep everyone safe. I did it to keep you safe. I did it to keep other people safe. And I did it because I care about you, right? You said something that scared me, and I can't carry that. I can't help you through that, but I know somebody who can. Okay. And this feels intuitive, but I'm just going to talk about it anyway. Telling on someone versus actually saying something for the purpose of being helpful, right? If you're telling on someone, you're just saying something because you want to get them in trouble. Maybe you feel like you have something to gain, right? And it feels kind of sneaky and kind of fun, right? But what we're asking you to do is get someone help when they need it, right? For their own safety, for the safety of people around them. You're saying something because you feel that something is not right and that you want to help. And that is a difference. I'm sure all of you can kind of tell when we look at it side by side.
So this is just what to say and how to kind of prepare for that. We want you to tell a trusted adult, and hopefully that trusted adult, if they can't respond themselves, is going to contact someone who can. And like Ms. Y said, worst case scenario is someone has a conversation and it's always, pleasant and nice, and no one's in trouble because they're having these feelings. So that's really the worst case scenario. And I also just want to add, if there is a sense of trust being broken with these friends that in some cases, that is simply the cost of being safe. And neither of us want to dismiss that could happen, but I think the bigger picture is that this is about someone's life, and the stigma around these issues is so severe in our society. And so it can just be hard to be comfortable in these topics. And unfortunately, that can lead to some distress in friendships and in relationships. But we're asking you to kind of look at the bigger picture beyond that in the moment.
And I would much rather have a friend be mad at me than have a friend who's no longer with us because I felt like I would be breaking their trust by saying something.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So just some options. So a parent's friend, a religious leader, family member, or parent or guardian, just make sure it's an adult that you trust, that you know is going to respond. If your trusted adult is not available, you can always call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. I'm pretty sure if you just Google this too, it'll always pop up. And there's also the text line that's 24 hours as well. And we're going to have more resources at the end that you can use. Just remember, if something does happen and you're like, I'm not really sure I'm going to remember exactly what he said or exactly what she said or what she wrote, write it down. It's just easier to not have to recall, especially if you're feeling a little bit stressed yourself because you know you need to say something. It's just easier it sounds super obvious and silly for us to even mention this, but when you're in a state of a little bit of elevated stress, it can be easy to just not recall things accurately.
And this is where screenshots are your best friend, right? Somebody might post something on Instagram and keep it up for a little while and then realize, oh my God, people are really reacting to this. So if you can screenshot it when you have that moment of, oh my God, you always have it to show if you decide to come forward and say something.
This is more along the same lines of just writing down what you hear.
So if you're texting with a friend during the day, or you check in with a friend during the day on a school day, and they say something that worries you, the best thing that you can do is to contact your academic counselor. And so here's a breakdown. This is also on the tafthigh.org website. All the different ways that we can all be contacted. Don't worry about the extensions. We're not at school, so those don't really apply. Email would probably be best. And then in an earlier presentation, you got my contact info and Miss Mora's contact info. But just reach out to somebody and just say, you know what, something just did not feel right. And if something happened after hours, these are all the different ways that you can support your friend. If you're on the phone with a friend and they're telling you something that makes you think they're suicidal, these are some options that you have to offer them. But I will also tell you, if you know their address and you know where they are, it's never too extreme to just call 911 in a panic, right? It could really mean the difference between saving someone's life. And in that moment of, oh my God, what do? I can imagine it would be really hard to find episode 7 of the Mary and Veronica show and scroll to the after hours support slide and get them the proper information. So when in doubt, just do whatever is fastest to help keep them safe. We're going to switch gears a little bit. We talked about something big and something heavy. And so I invite you all to just kind of take a deep breath, maybe 2 or 3 along with me. And then we're going to talk a little bit about gratitude. Okay. So let's just take a couple deep breaths. And let's take some time to really think about what we're all grateful for right now. And kind of as an assignment, what we're going to leave you with and leave you and your advisory class with is we would like for you to take whatever piece of paper is near you, whatever pencil, pen you have, and just write down 3 things that you're grateful for. And your teacher is going to handle this however they handle it, but you could talk about it as a group. You can do breakout sessions. You can take a picture and send it to your teacher just to say that you did it. But this is really a really powerful exercise. And some people like to do morning or evening gratitude, where you keep a journal next to your bed and you wake up and you write down one thing that you're grateful for, two things, whatever comes to mind. And then when you go to bed, you write down something that you're grateful for that happened in that day. And if you do this, if you challenge yourself and you do this for a couple weeks, I guarantee you, you will see a change in the way you navigate the world. Bad things will still happen, right? Situations still happen. Automatic thoughts still flood us every day. But if you're really able to take a moment and reflect on the little things that you're grateful for. So I'll just share mine from today. I had a really delicious sandwich earlier. And that is what I'm grateful for. And it could be something really small, and it could be something really big. Maybe you reconnected with a friend, or maybe you're going, to see some family or whatever it is. But it's really, really important to take time and be grateful. Any additional thoughts, Ms. Moore?
Yeah, I can just share mine as well. My brother has just moved a couple miles away from me, and he used to live in another state as of last week. So I am seeing him tonight, and I'm grateful that we're 2 miles apart instead of 200 miles apart, more than that before. So I think I'm thinking about that, and it just puts a whole different feel on my day, thinking about the anticipation of getting to see him. So that's what I'm grateful for today.
That's wonderful. So thank you for being with us, and please take time to really reflect on the things that are going well, and take the things that we said seriously, and follow up with us or your academic counselor if you have questions or concerns about any of the things we talked about.
Thank you all for listening and engaging in this kind of difficult topic, but hopefully a better ending. And we're, just as another note, we're going to build on this gratitude practice because I think it's really powerful, and we want to incorporate this in further videos. So stay tuned.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.